But I have to just say, anyone who has doubted me over the past decade about this evil woman now needs to eat some humble pie.
My sources are saying that William no longer recognizes his brother. He basically says he doesn't know who this kid is. Harry has become petulant, he's become vengeful, he's very angry at all times, and William's just kind of like, hey, who the heck are you? And yes, they do blame Meghan.
Who does this? Who behaves like this?
Last Friday morning on the Isles of Scilly, the Prince of Wales sat down in a hotel cafe and spoke live to millions of Heart Breakfast listeners across Britain. Over nearly 3 hours of easy conversation, football talk, and debates about cream teas, he mentioned just one family member who was no longer there, his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. What stood out wasn't only who he mentioned, it was who he didn't. He never said his brother's name. He never mentioned his sister-in-law.
Meghan Markle is threatening to sue the British royal family and Prince William if her titles are removed.
Archie and Lilibet were not brought up at any point during the entire broadcast. That silence caught attention fast, especially because several royal writers, including Tom Bower, Tom Sykes, and Andrew Loney, have spent months discussing the growing distance inside the royal family. At one point, the prince spoke warmly about his wife. During the same interview, he also talked about all 3 of his children.
Harry has gotten with Meghan, and he now feels he has to protect her and, defend her at all costs, even when there's bad behavior involved.
She was the villain.
How was she dangerous?
Because of the need for her to rehabilitate her image.
George, now at boarding school. Charlotte, who loves Taylor Swift. Louis, who leaves sticky jam fingerprints in the car. The Wales family was front and center, named openly and naturally throughout the conversation. The other branch of the family wasn't mentioned at all. And that's important when you understand just how massive Heart Breakfast really is. Heart remains Britain's biggest commercial radio brand. Its breakfast show reaches millions of listeners every week, while the wider network attracts an even larger audience across the country.
Can we talk a little bit about Catherine? Because I just wanted to say how well she did in Italy. She's just come back. That was her first foray out there since her recovery. Yeah. How proud of you are?
So proud. I'm very, very proud. She's been amazing. She's been through so much in the last couple of years, particularly.
This wasn't some low-profile interview tucked away on an early morning news program. This was one of the most popular breakfast shows in the nation, airing just before a bank holiday weekend. Amanda Holden and Jamie Theakston hosted the broadcast live from a Cornish cafe, marking a first for the station. Everyone responsible for planning the prince's public appearances knew exactly how many people would be listening. This wasn't an accidental setting. It was a carefully chosen moment for him to appear relaxed, personal, and approachable. He sounded cheerful but tired, still hoarse from Aston Villa's victory in Istanbul earlier that week. He chatted about football, weighed in on the classic cream versus jam debate, and even joked about being late for the school run.
I can tell you for a fact that my sources that work under William and Catherine tell me that she is not a topic of conversation. She is not on their radar.
Oh, okay.
Harry and Meghan, what they do is not on their radar. They are not concerned about it.
He revealed that the song he listens to when he needs a lift is You Got the Love by Candy Staton. The interview felt remarkably personal. It gave listeners a glimpse into everyday family life, and commentators noticed that almost immediately. But there was another detail people couldn't ignore. He didn't have to mention his brother for listeners to remember there is one. The family picture he painted was clear. His wife, his children, his late grandmother, and memories of his parents bringing him to the Isles of Scilly as a child. Yet for some observers, there seemed to be an obvious absence in that picture.
Because I know it can be a little bit tricky with names and that kind of thing. So just simply Amanda is absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yes, I'll lose my title this morning. I was hoping for Dame, but it's not come yet, William. I'll talk to you about that
His
later.
Royal Highness.
His Royal Highness. Oh my goodness.
Royal commentators have spent years discussing the widening gap between the brothers. Over the last several months, several biographers have argued that the separation now appears deeper and more lasting than ever. Then came another key moment in the story. On November 8th last year, the Daily Beast published a column by veteran royal correspondent Tom Sykes, whose royal reporting has closely followed the family's internal tensions for years. The headline grabbed attention immediately, and it's worth repeating exactly as it appeared. Prince William plots bonfire of royal titles when he becomes king.
Yes. Good grippy cream. You can't beat clotted cream. Now, Prince William, what do you do? Think carefully.
I love that I'm the authority on that.
Here's the big debate. Scones or scones? Scones. I just feel like if you say it really fast, people are like, yeah, you said it the right way. But he's asked about this. And this is, again, one of those cute, quirky, safe morning show questions. What goes first, your clotted cream or your jam? I love the fact that he's definitely trying to distance himself as the expert on the debate. He brings up his grandmother.
Just think about those words for a moment. Bonfire of royal titles. That's not the kind of phrase royal watchers forget anytime soon. According to Tom Sykes, a journalist who has spent nearly 2 decades covering the royal family, the future king is reportedly considering major changes to how royal titles are handled. Sykes wrote that the Prince of Wales could use letters patent early in his reign to remove certain royal titles from family members who are not working royals.
Is this normally the time when you're doing the school run?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the children are on their way to school. They are listening this morning. I find music for me is so personal to how you're feeling and what you describe.
Yeah.
So it's almost like saying to me, like, who's your favourite person in the world? I can't answer that.
No,
but,
you can't.
I love dance songs.
And this wasn't aimed at just one person. The report named several members of the royal family. Prince Andrew was included. Sarah Ferguson was included. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were also mentioned. Prince Harry and Meghan were named as well, along with Archie and Lilibet. Now, royal stories and palace rumors appear all the time. Most come and go without leaving much of a mark.
He's very like the late Queen, his beloved grandmother in that way. It's been instilled in him by her. All those afternoon teas that they were taking at Windsor Castle when he was a boy at Eton, the Queen was teaching him what's going to happen. She was showing him, this is what you do when you take over the throne. And William has learned from the best that there was, and that was the late Queen Elizabeth II. And it is always that duty and country comes before anything, before even family.
But what happened after this report raised even more eyebrows. Neither Buckingham Palace nor Kensington Palace publicly pushed back against the claims. No official denial appeared. No correction followed. The article stayed exactly where it was, and the discussion around it only grew louder. What made the story even more interesting was that the process being discussed wasn't some imaginary royal scenario. Just weeks earlier, King Charles had already demonstrated the use of letters patent in dealing with Prince Andrew's royal status. Suddenly, the mechanism being described looked a lot less theoretical and a lot more real. Then the story took another turn.
But when William does take to the throne, we're going to see a much harder line being taken by him, a much harder approach. Prince William is a man who does not suffer fools gladly.
In May of this year, only days before the Prince of Wales appeared on Heart Breakfast, Sykes published another report. This time, the focus shifted to what some commentators had started calling Project Thaw, the idea that relations between King Charles and Prince Harry might be improving behind the scenes. For months, many royal observers treated reconciliation rumors with caution, but Sykes wrote that coordinated messaging from both Harry's team and the King's team suggested something more substantial could be happening.
At the moment, Charles has made Harry a Councillor of State.
Terrible.
It's a problem. So what William's going to have to do, and this is what I think William will do when he takes the throne, now this will obviously hinge on Harry still being married to that woman, Meghan Markle. So this all depends on that. If Harry is still married to Meghan, William will strip the titles.
According to his reporting, the signals coming from both sides appeared increasingly aligned. And yet there was one notable absence in that conversation. While reports discussed communication between two offices, there was little public indication of where William stood on the matter. That silence became a story of its own for many royal commentators. Then came another major development. On March 26th, Tom Bower's new book, Betrayal, was released by Bonnier Books UK. The book arrived as the highly anticipated follow-up to his 2022 bestseller, Revenge, and immediately attracted attention across royal circles.
When Charles was really resisting any action against Andrew, and William was really saying, we have to let the police in, we have to let the police do their worst, we have to we have to remove all the protection from him, we have to kick him out of the tent so that he's not part of us, and if that means that he ends up in a court cell or a jail, we'll have to see how the cards fall. People close to Charles were telling me at the time, it's all very well to say that when you're not the king, but when you're the king, things look a little different.
For those unfamiliar with Bower, he has spent decades investigating powerful public figures, business leaders, and political players. His reputation was built on detailed research, extensive interviews, and deep source networks. Whether readers agree with his conclusions or not, his books rarely go unnoticed. One chapter in particular focused on the future relationship between William and Harry. It painted a picture of a divide that some observers believe may be extremely difficult to repair. Bauer wrote, "William was taking no prisoners. Once he was crowned as king, his brother might well show no mercy to him and Meghan."
A source of hers close to the palace, directly addressing the persistent talk of a Project Thaw between Harry and the royal family, was that no one ever wants to see Meghan again. And who can blame them? Paula reports from her source, "I spoke to one of my very good sources and no, there is no Project Thaw. The reason why is that yes, the king would like to see his son and his grandson. No one ever wants to see Meghan again, but they understand Harry is fully untrustworthy."
That line quickly became one of the most discussed passages in the entire book. The author then raised the possibility that future decisions about royal titles could extend even further. Importantly, these were presented as claims and assessments from sources and commentators, not confirmed palace plans. Still, the suggestion sparked intense debate among royal watchers and media outlets alike. Whether those predictions ever become reality remains unknown. But one thing is certain. Few royal stories this year have generated as much discussion, speculation, and scrutiny as the claims laid out in Bauer's book and the reports that followed.
He will strip the titles. But if Harry's divorced from Meghan by that point, which he could be, who knows? It's a long time yet in the future. But if he's divorced by that point, William may take a different approach, a less harsh approach. Say, okay, Harry's now away from that woman. I'm going to try and repair my relationship with him. It'll take time, but let's bring him back into the royal family. But this is at the moment, we're talking a long way. This is all hypothetical if Harry is no longer with Meghan. If he is still with Meghan, bye-bye to Harry and Meghan. No more Duke and Duchess. That will be gone.
Bauer's book doesn't just describe the fallout between the brothers. According to the author, it also points to the specific moment when William reportedly reached a major decision about the future of their relationship. Based on Bauer's sources, William allegedly decided that Harry would not be invited to his future coronation on the same day Harry was excluded from a Buckingham Palace reception held before Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. Think about the timing for a second.
Anger and resentment it might be there on the part of William towards Harry. How angry is William about Harry, do you think?
Extremely angry. That's why I'm saying he loves him as a brother, but does he like behaviour that Harry has displayed in the last several years?
This wasn't a recent disagreement or a fresh dispute. According to the account presented in the book, this moment traces back several years and was tied to one of the most emotional periods in modern royal history. Bauer also explores what some palace insiders believe contributed to the deepening divide. In the book, he reports claims attributed to a source close to Queen Camilla, including the assertion that Meghan had, in their words, brainwashed Harry. That wording comes directly from the account cited in the book.
Dramas, and as I say, William's a man who gets on with it. He's not into navel-gazing, Mark, or psych-babble language, which we hear coming out of Hollywood, which has filled Harry's head with nonsense.
Bauer's role is to report what his sources claimed, and the statement has become one of the most discussed passages among royal watchers. Whether people agree with it or not, it certainly sparked conversation. But the book doesn't stop with personal tensions. It also examines the financial side of the story, and that's where things get even more interesting. According to Bauer's reporting, sources suggested that maintaining a high-profile lifestyle requires significant annual income. The book discusses challenges involving major business partnerships and media ventures, while raising questions about long-term earning power and public visibility.
Harry and Meghan had a success or two, but then a ton of failure after that. The Netflix thing didn't go as well as I thought it would. Their futures in Hollywood are looking quite bleak at this point. They have a ton of things, quote unquote, in development, but nothing in production.
The argument presented by some commentators is that royal titles carry value beyond tradition. They are part of a public identity, part of a brand, and part of the recognition that opens doors around the world. That's why any discussion about titles immediately grabs headlines and starts debates. Then there's the third biographer who has been making waves in this conversation, Andrew Lowney. Unlike many royal commentators, Lowney has spent years focusing on lesser-known members of the royal family, often examining the figures who operate outside the spotlight.
I suspect, Charles gave undertakings to his mother to take care of Andrew. I suspect a deal was done to get Andrew out of Royal Lodge, and that may have involved, taking care of the daughters. And there may be concerns about keeping them in the tent still, rather than being a loose cannon outside. And the one way they can control both Andrew and Sarah Ferguson is through the future of the daughters. So there may be something in this, but I think William realizes the reputational damage.
In November last year, he released Entitled, a book centered on Prince Andrew, but also touching on broader questions about the monarchy's future. During an interview promoting the book, Lonnie was asked a direct question about what William might do once he becomes king. His response attracted plenty of attention. According to the published interview, Lonnie replied, "William will do it alone and probably get rid of Harry as well." That statement immediately fueled more speculation about what a future reign could look like, and whether major changes to royal roles might be on the horizon.
Disappointment has got to a point that he's almost resigned to their, shall we say, unroyal-like behaviour that they have displayed over the last several years. He sighs, he rolls his eyes. He's just fed up of it all. He really is. But I think William feels like much of the country does about them. But the difference is for Prince William is the danger that his brother Harry and his wife Meghan Markle present to him.
Lonnie later expanded on those views in another interview. Discussing the monarchy's public image, he suggested that concerns about relevance and public perception may play a significant role in future decisions. His argument was that some within royal circles worry about how ongoing family disputes affect the institution's reputation. And Lonnie isn't the only respected royal observer making those kinds of observations. Roya Nika, the Sunday Times royal editor, and one of the journalists often viewed as having strong royal connections, offered her own assessment during a Times radio appearance.
No.
So William blames Meghan.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This trouble all started when Meghan married Harry. They were rowing in the build-up to the wedding. Meghan upset Princess Catherine, William's wife, over the row to do with the children, the bridesmaids. It was a silly tiff, but William saw then Meghan's behaviour. And Meghan was dangerous. She was going to be a danger to the Waleses, and she was going to cause problems and dramas and necessary.
Describing William's personality, she said, "William is someone who does hold a grudge. He does choose sides. If someone picks the other side, he remembers that." That quote has been repeated countless times because many commentators believe it helps explain the lasting tensions that continue to dominate royal headlines. Over the years, several highly publicized disputes have been linked to the breakdown in relations between the brothers. Media interviews, disagreements before the wedding, family tensions behind palace walls, and competing accounts from different camps have all become part of a story that refuses to fade away.
The difference is for Prince William is the danger that his brother Harry and his wife Meghan Markle present to him for when he does take the throne, because his father King Charles is insistent that Harry remains a Councillor of State. Now, some viewers might say, what's a Councillor of State? What does that mean? It means that if something happens to William when he's king, Harry would have the powers to act on behalf of him. That's not something Prince William's going to want to have happen, is he now, really? And that's not something the country's going to want to have happen as well. So I think while his father's still alive, his dad's not a well man, as we know. King Charles has got cancer, we all know that. And so I think William's just taking the soft, gentle approach right now. And okay, Dad, that's your choice. I get it. Harry's your son still. You are going to have that feeling that you want him back in the royal family.
For many royal watchers, those events are now viewed as pieces of a much larger conflict that still casts a shadow over the monarchy today. One theme keeps showing up in the accounts from royal biographers. They believe the Prince of Wales rarely forgets a slight. Whether that assessment is fair or not, it's a description that has appeared again and again in reporting about the royal family. And after last Friday's Heart Breakfast interview, many royal watchers felt they had another example to discuss. Now picture the royal family as a chessboard with two powerful players, each appearing to approach the situation in a very different way. On one side sits the king. According to multiple media reports, King Charles met privately with Prince Harry at Clarence House last September.
On Wednesday night, of course, Aston Villa won the Europa League final, and it made me excited watching it, seeing how excited you were.
Yeah, well, I So I try and remind myself that I am a football fan and I'm just going there to enjoy myself. But then I see the following day and I realize, actually, a lot of people are watching you. Stop doing that.
So, like, I get the sense that he is serious, that he forgets that he wants to just be there as a football fan and forgets that, like, the next day, this game they normally wouldn't be talking about, because there's such a fun video of the Prince of Wales reacting wildly to a win or a score. I hope I grabbed the video. Maybe I didn't, though. There's a video of him as the ball is getting closer to the goal. His eyes get wide and then he jumps up out of his seat. And it's so fun to see that just, carefree reaction.
The meeting was widely described as an important moment because it was reportedly the first father and son meeting in many months and came during a period when the king's health challenges were already a major public concern. Several royal correspondents have also written about the role of senior aides working behind the scenes. One name frequently mentioned is Theo Rycroft, a senior palace official who has been linked in reports to efforts aimed at easing tensions within the family. Some commentators have even connected him to what became known in media circles as Project Thaw, the reported push to improve communication between family members. According to published accounts, Rycroft was allegedly heard describing the situation in terms of it being time to knock their heads together. Whether that quote fully captures the reality behind palace walls is impossible to know, but it quickly became one of the most talked about lines in royal reporting. Other reports pointed to contacts between representatives from the King's team and Harry's team.
I think there's a concern on the part of William regarding his father. He loves his father, he admires his father. But Charles has been a lot weaker on Harry. We had the Clarence House face-to-face, didn't we, in September of last year, which I think was a mistake because it's more material for the next documentary, more material for Spare 2. This time it's personal.
For royal observers, these developments were viewed as signs that at least some people were attempting to lower the temperature surrounding the ongoing family dispute. Then came another detail that caught attention. On the same day, the king carried out a public engagement supporting victims of an anti-Semitic attack. Prince Harry had an essay on anti-Semitism published in the New Statesman. The timing immediately sparked questions among commentators. According to reports, journalists asked whether the timing had been coordinated. Publicly, Harry's representatives denied any direct coordination, while noting that the article had already been scheduled for publication days earlier.
Look at the amount of disrespect this would be to William, because that is his mother as well. You know, Meghan does not care about her connection to this family. If you are in close proximity, she is going to steal it to help herself, but not consider, how disrespectful it is to take from someone that is like in your family, so to speak, that you don't even care about doing the right thing to get permission or to see if it would be okay. You just want to run with it. And that's what I find so distasteful about this woman. She just does things that are so not the way things are done.
That explanation answered some questions, but left room for continued speculation among royal watchers. The broader picture, at least according to many commentators, seemed clear. The king was being portrayed as someone interested in reducing tensions. Palace aides were reportedly involved in discussions. Public messaging from different sides occasionally appeared to move in similar directions. Now look at the other side of the board. While stories about reconciliation continued making headlines, the Prince of Wales remained focused on his own public schedule. He celebrated Aston Villa's Europa League success, returned home, and then appeared on Heart Breakfast for one of his most relaxed and personal interviews in years. During that appearance, he spoke warmly about family life, football, music, and everyday moments. But as many commentators quickly pointed out, he did not publicly mention members of his brother's household. For some observers, that absence became the headline. The reason is simple. Royal watchers have long argued that silence can sometimes send a message just as loudly as words. Whether that interpretation is correct or not, it has become a recurring theme in coverage of the family.
So I'm really glad it went really well, and she wanted to go and do lots of research. She spends God knows how much time now looking through all the paperwork. She's a proper pro on early years, and so most evenings I'm fighting to get past in the bedroom all the paperwork that she's got lined up ready to read. So I'm so pleased it went well for her, and I think she came back buzzing.
So it's a lovely insight, isn't it, to their life and how Catherine really does her work even in the bedroom. But they discuss the serious aspect of it, how tough the cancer diagnosis was, where William emotionally admitted the family just couldn't cope without it.
Biographers have offered different explanations for the continued distance. Bauer has described William as unwilling to move past certain disputes. Sykes has focused on possible future changes involving royal roles and titles. Loney has suggested that future decisions could be made independently and without compromise. These are their assessments, not confirmed palace positions, but together they have helped shape the public conversation. And before anyone dismisses the significance of a radio interview, many longtime royal observers would argue that this family often communicates in subtle ways. Sometimes the biggest signal isn't what gets said, it's what doesn't. A piece of jewelry quietly disappears. An invitation never arrives. A public appearance passes without a name being mentioned. In royal circles, those small details can generate just as much discussion as any official statement. And that's exactly why so many people were talking about that heart breakfast interview long after it ended. For many royal watchers, the biggest messages don't come through official statements. They come through what's missing. That's why so much attention was focused on that heart breakfast interview. In a royal culture often associated with restraint and careful public messaging, people tend to examine not only what is said, but also what isn't said. Every mention, every omission, every detail gets picked apart.
William's a practical man. Okay, my dad's got cancer. It's sad, but I've got to get on with it. My wife's got cancer. It's horrible, but I've got to get on with it. I'm going to be the king. I've got to get on with it. That is what I have to get on with. He's not there saying, why me? This is awful. Why is all these horrible things in life happening to me? But he doesn't think like that because he knows it's happening to millions of people around the world. William is a doer. He's not a taker. He's a giver. He's a doer. He gets on with
and
the
he's
job.
not a victim.
During nearly 3 hours on air, William came across as relaxed, warm, and unusually personal. He spoke about family life, football, childhood memories, and the people closest to him. He mentioned his late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, with obvious affection. He talked about his wife and children. Listeners got a rare glimpse into the private side of a future king. But as commentators quickly noticed, there were other family members who were not mentioned during the conversation. That observation has fueled debate because several royal biographers have spent months discussing reports of ongoing tensions within the family. Their books and articles have offered different interpretations of where relationships currently stand and what the future might hold. Whether those predictions prove accurate remains to be seen, but the discussion has only grown louder. For some observers, the interview felt like more than a casual radio appearance. It felt like a snapshot of the family William chose to highlight in that moment. Others argue that people may simply be reading too much into an entertainment-focused breakfast show. That's the debate at the center of this entire story. Still, there is no denying one thing: listeners were paying attention. Think about the details William willingly shared. He praised Catherine with heartfelt words, calling her an amazing mum, an amazing wife, and literally our family couldn't cope without her. It was one of the most personal tributes he has given publicly in quite some time. He spoke about Charlotte's love for Taylor Swift. He discussed George and school life. He laughed about Louis leaving jam fingerprints in the car. He shared stories that felt relatable, natural, and surprisingly ordinary for someone who will one day be king. Even small details became headlines. The discussion about cream and jam on scones, his favorite motivational song, his football celebrations.
Would it be overstating it to say that William does not like his brother?
He doesn't like his brother's behaviour, right, in the way that his brother's acted.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the way he's been. He's disgusted by him. He's appalled.
Wow.
He's let down by him. He's angry. He's still a very, very, very angry man. Tries to roll his eyes. But a lot of this comes down, Mark, to Meghan Markle. She is the fly in the ointment. And William believes that if Meghan wasn't on the scene, this would never have happened.
These were the moments that gave the interview its charm and helped millions of listeners feel connected to the conversation. Yet alongside all that warmth sat a silence that many royal commentators couldn't stop talking about. For those who closely follow the royal family, that silence seemed significant because it involved people who have been at the center of years of public discussion and media coverage. To some observers, the omission meant something. To others, it meant nothing at all. But either way, people noticed. The history behind that discussion stretches back years. William and Harry once stood side by side through some of the most difficult moments imaginable. Images of the brothers walking together behind their mother's coffin remain among the most powerful and emotional scenes in modern royal history. Since then, public reports have documented disagreements, competing accounts, media interviews, and a relationship that many commentators believe has become deeply strained. Exactly where things stand today is known only to those directly involved. Everything else remains interpretation. And that's why the heart breakfast interview sparked such a strong reaction. The only absent family member William mentioned by name was his late grandmother. Everyone else who became part of the broader public debate remained outside the conversation. For some commentators, that reinforced arguments made by several royal biographers over the past year. Others see it as nothing more than a host steering a lighthearted interview towards safer topics. So now the question shifts to you. Do you think the silence was simply an effort to keep family matters private and avoid creating new headlines? Or do you think the omissions carried a deeper message that listeners were meant to notice? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Was it a gesture of restraint, or was the silence itself the statement? And if you enjoy breaking down the hidden signals, public appearances, and royal stories that dominate the headlines, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Crown Clash. There are plenty more conversations ahead, and some of the biggest chapters in this story may still be waiting to unfold. See you tomorrow.